Given the ongoing planning processes and recent requests for proposals for development of two sites in Eastwick, we set out to answer the question, would developing senior housing meet the needs of current residents of Eastwick? As we have just discussed, our understanding of the history of Eastwick informs the remainder of our analysis, including the forthcoming market study for senior rental housing in Eastwick. To begin our market study, we set out to collect data about residents and the housing market in Eastwick using publicly available data from the US Census Bureau, as well as the City of Philadelphia's Office of Property Assessment. We want to be clear that these data are estimates, meaning that they are our best guesses for the on-the-ground realities in Eastwick. They also only capture the quantitative aspects of the neighborhood, leaving out the ever-important aspects of how residents perceive and experience their neighborhood. While we were unable to engage in interviews and focus groups to collect the experience of Eastwick residents due to the ongoing public health response to the novel coronavirus, we set out a plan to engage in this type of research in our accompanying report. Nevertheless, these quantitative data are likely the same data used by developers, engineers, and planners, and therefore it is helpful to understand how these estimates may shape how others understand Eastwick in the context of future development. Our study is broken down into two sections. First, we explore the demand for affordable housing. That is, what shapes people's ongoing search for housing. There are many factors which go into this, but broadly we can think about this as what type of housing people are looking for, what type of housing they are seeking, and what is the price that they are willing to pay for housing. The demand in any specific area is shaped by what housing already exists. That is the supply or availability of housing. Our market study will be specifically focused on the demand and supply of affordable rental housing accessible to seniors. We will begin our discussion with an analysis on the potential demand for senior affordable rental housing in Eastwick. We organized our section around a number of fairly direct questions that will be able to lead us to a better understanding of whether there is demand for senior affordable housing in Eastwick that would warrant the development proposals currently underway from PHDC. First, we will look at some trends in Eastwick's population, specifically the senior and renter population, to determine what might drive the need for this specific type of housing. Second, we will focus on how much those populations are able to spend on housing, which will lead us to determine whether the supply of housing in Eastwick is affordable or not. Given that we are focused on the development of rental housing for seniors, we began our research with an analysis of those populations over time. The graph on the left shows trends in the share of Eastwick's population who are seniors, defined as those people who are 65 years of age or older. For both graphs, the orange line shows the trend for Eastwick, while the other line represents the same trend for Philadelphia as a whole. Across the country, the population of seniors has grown considerably and will likely continue to grow as the baby boomers, the largest generation, has entered or will enter the senior age range over the next 10 years. In Eastwick, this trend is no different as the population of seniors has grown over the last 80 years. While Eastwick was once known as a place for young families, those young families have largely aged in place or moved away as the percent of seniors living within the neighborhood has surpassed the Philadelphia-wide average in the last 4 years. With our discussion of housing, we are particularly interested in the senior population because their ability and needs are a serious consideration for the types of housing that are appropriate for them. For example, the classic Philadelphia row home can be difficult for some senior residents given the multi-level stairs. The current discussions underway from the city are for the development of affordable rental housing at two prominent sites in Eastwick. The graph on the right shows the percent of Eastwick residents who rent their homes. Historically, a much greater share of Eastwick residents owned their home, shown by the orange line well below the 50% mark. However, recently there has been an increase in the renting population in Eastwick so that the share of renters is more in line with the share of renters in Philadelphia. However, this rise in the renting population of Eastwick is due to an increase in renting by those residents who are not seniors. Of the 1,300 seniors who call Eastwick home, approximately 3 out of 4 own their home, meaning that the remaining 1 in 4 rent their home. This can be seen in the graph on the left as the red bar representing those who own their home is much larger than the purple one showing those who rent their home for all age groupings of seniors. Only 1 in 4 seniors in Eastwick rent their home. That does not necessarily mean that it is the proper mix of housing types, as there may be some residents who own their home but would prefer to rent for a variety of reasons, including the costs and work required to maintain a home. Either way, it is important to maintain a mix of housing types that are affordable to keep Eastwick appropriate and accessible to all current and prospective residents. Now, we move on to a discussion about what affordability means in Eastwick. As is common across the country, both seniors and renters in Eastwick are the lowest income populations. We might expect both young adults and seniors to be the lowest income populations, given that many young adults are in part-time or entry-level positions and potentially in their undergraduate education. Seniors, on the other hand, may be on fixed incomes or retirement. Whether we would expect this to be the case or not, household income is an important factor as it drives how much people can spend on housing and therefore determines what is affordable or not. Among the lowest income brackets, the share of seniors is high. The household income for the average senior is around $20,000 less than the average Eastwick resident overall. Similarly, the average renter in Eastwick has a household income that is approximately $16,000 less than the average homeowner. In considering what is affordable for senior residents in Eastwick, over 1 in 3 seniors has an income of less than $25,000. Given what we know about the lower earnings of renters, we can likely assume that a disproportionate amount of these seniors in the lowest age bracket are renters. Therefore, these populations may be at the greatest need for affordable housing. Most studies consider that if a household is spending less than 30% of its monthly income on housing costs, be it a mortgage payment or rent, that is generally considered to be affordable. This figure factors in that a household may have other important costs such as healthcare and food to spend on. As is common throughout the United States, a significant share of renters spend a disproportionate amount of their income on rent, that is, more than 30% of their income. As you can see on the graph on the left, more young adults and seniors are in the unaffordable category than their peers are in the affordable. Housing affordability is an important concern, as if a household is spending a disproportionate amount of money on maintaining their housing, they may not have enough money to take care of other aspects in life. This may be concerning if a household is making trade-offs with nutritious food or ample healthcare in order to maintain their housing situation. Strikingly, almost 3 out of 4 seniors who rent spend an unaffordable amount of their income on rent. By contrast, less than 1 in 3 Eastwick seniors who own their home spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs. As I mentioned earlier, the 30% threshold is used as a consistent threshold across all age ranges. As we may guess, our spending and expenses may be different at different points in our life, and therefore what is affordable by our budget may also change. While senior households may not be paying costs for children, however, they may have increased healthcare costs, which lead us to conclude that the 30% threshold is still useful for determining what may be affordable or not. Therefore, we have shown that seniors, and especially senior renters, are in the greatest need for investments in affordable housing. Next, we will discuss what types of affordable housing options are available in Eastwick currently.